I'm predominantly on Football Focus at the minute. I'm super competitive, and I probably shouldn't say this, but if you go on IMBD, you can see everyone who's ever presented at Football Focus, and it's a bit like a leaderboard. And every few weeks, I go on and check and see who I've overtaken. But there's like 50, there's like 50 people before me, and I'm about 8 from bottom, but I'm on the up.
So who's in your sights then? Come on, tell us.
No, there's some decent people just above me. I think Owen isn't far off, or I just overtook him. The only interview I felt nervous was Kenny Dalglish, because I'm a big Liverpool fan. Yeah. He's practically God. And we were on top of the Shankly Hotel with the Liver building behind us. We were in the lift on the way down, and he said, you Liam, you've got a chance. And I thought, that's the best cosign ever, if you get one from Kenny Dalglish.
We talked about the demise of Bury AFC and the birth of a new football club, which is Bury AFC. So you were the second ever signing.
Me and Ads have good banter about this, because we were in the same room at the same time. I'm sure I was handed the pen first. He just got the announcement video first.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Lock-In with me, Mike, and him, Baz. Say hello, Baz.
Hello, Baz.
Yeah, that's becoming your catchphrase, that now. I like it.
It's the only one I've got.
Yeah, exactly. So, hello, everybody, and welcome if this is your first time listening to us or watching us. Basically, the premise of this is it's just me and Baz having a chat in our virtual pub, the Brace of Readlings, and we just chat to someone whilst having a drink. But we're not having a drink at the minute because I've got to go to work later, because we're recording this in the afternoon, which is very late. So I hope we'll get through it without drinking, but you never know. Okay, I'm not normally very nervous with these things, but I'm going to have to tell you something, that we're going to be interviewing someone who gets paid to interview other people. So there's pressure on this one. And they've interviewed the likes of, they're probably more than this, but I've written down some people that they've interviewed. They've interviewed Alex Oxlade Chamberlain, Yaya Toure, James Maddison, Lucy Bronze, Eddie Hearn, Henrik Larsson, Eric Lamela, Aitch, Adi Akinbaye, and someone called Sir Kenneth Dalglish. So, let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome footballer, broadcaster, charity ambassador, Mr. Liam MacDevitt.
How's it going? All right?
Hey, how was that for an intro? You happy with that one?
I'll tell you what, it was. I'd forgotten a few of those, so that was not Kenny Dalglish, of course, but I'd forgotten a few, so that was amazing.
So, for people that don't know you, you work for you've done a lot of work for the PFA. You work for the BBC, so you've done Match of the Day, Kickabout, and now Grown Up Match of the Day and Football Focus as well. So, yeah, you've interviewed Paul Cannaville recently, who's Chelsea's first ever black player, as part of Black History Month, and made a documentary called The Making of Marcus Rashford as well. So you're 26 years old.
27. But because of COVID, we probably don't count any birthdays, so I'll stick with
You're 27 now. I mean, that's well old, that.
Yeah.
So, you're 27, but mate, that's some CV already. So where did it all start?
Do you know, I was playing professionally for a short period of time before it all went. Wait, can you swear? If we're in a pub, what are the rules?
Absolutely.
It wasn't anything too rogue. Before it all went tits up, I did a degree through the PFA, actually, in journalism. And yeah, during the off season, we'd do a few projects. So they sent me out to Moscow before the World Cup.
Wow.
Just doing some writing, actually, interviewing a few people. That was my first major taste of it. And then got onto a good old trusty internship at the BBC called Creative Access, which basically you just learn everything. So that was on Match Today Kickabout. So I was learning how to edit, shoot, write scripts, basically everything behind the camera. And then towards the end, just ended up doing a screen test. And then I don't think I missed a show after my screen test. I managed to sneak my way on. That show got decommissioned. And then transitioned into BBC Sport, and yeah, like you said, been on Match Today X, Match Today, Football Focus. So 3 years nearly I've been at the BBC, but it's a fairly quick trajectory, but I'm loving it.
So you trained as a journalist?
Yeah, my degree's in English and journalism while I was playing.
So was the intention always to go to journalism rather than actual professional sport?
You know, I was doing my A-levels when I got offered a professional contract. So I was halfway, I'd just finished my AS levels. So it was always like, if football hadn't have come up, I would have always been gone to uni, and probably tried to get into journalism in some way. Not sport, actually. I was offered a BBC Local Democracy, which was in politics, like just when I graduated, but ended up sodding off to New Zealand to play football instead. So yeah, football was like an amazing thing that happened. I was lucky enough to play professionally for a few years. But prior to that, I'd kind of given up on the dream and was just sort of pursuing academia, and journalism was something I was looking at for sure.
Just sort of sitting there thinking that, most people would sort of kill to have a sort of a slight brush with the football, but I think this is obviously your preferred way of being involved with it, isn't it?
Oh, no, I love both. And to be honest, if I'd have been a slightly better footballer, I'm sure I'd have loved playing professional football. It was always a challenge for me to stay in the professional game, which is why I ended up in the furthest away city in the world, in Dunedin in New Zealand. But yeah, I love both. But football's the best sport in the world, isn't it? Being able to talk about it or play it every day, it's not bad.
But to be fair, if you'd have been better at football, you would have had to wait till you were about 45 to work in football. Do you know what I mean? In TV.
Yeah, there'd have been a few more of us then.
You'd have been one of these washed-up pundits that thinks they know what they're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, got out early.
Exactly. Talking about that list of people that you've interviewed as part of your BBC career, do you ever get starstruck?
Do you know, the first ever interview I did was with Davinson Sanchez. It was on Zoom, and I shit you not, I didn't sleep like the whole night before. I had like my questions. I was like, and this is on Zoom, but I'm not even face to face with anyone.
Yeah.
So, but now, I hate to say it, nothing. Like no nerves at all. The only interview I felt nervous was Kenny Dalglish, because I'm a big Liverpool fan. Yeah. He's practically God. And we were on top of the Shankly Hotel with the Liver building behind us. And we were sat on this little stage, just talking about, like, he was just telling me stories of all the way around Liverpool, like drinks he'd have with people in there, stories of managing Liverpool. And that was like a pinch me, like, how have I managed to be on stage in front of the Liver building with Kenny Dalglish? And I mucked up my first introduction, had to do a pickup. So yeah, that's the only interview I've had where it's really, I felt anxious just before. The rest, been okay so far.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that, because Liverpool's obviously a big thing for you. I've been blessed to meet quite a few celebrities, and the most nervous I've ever been was meeting Bez at Happy Mondays. And he was I met him after a gig, because the Manchester music was a massive thing as I was growing up and a big part of my life. And I remember I was at an after party, and I saw him, and I was like, I'm not going to get this chance again to meet him, so I'll go up. And I went up and I went to introduce him. I went, "Hi, mate. Really great to meet you. Can I get a picture with you?" He went, "Yeah, I'm Bez," as he shook my hand, like introduced himself.
I know who you are. Yeah,
I know. It's my ass if I could have a picture.
It's amazing, though, isn't it? When you meet someone who you've had on such held with such high esteem, it's amazing.
It's amazing, and it's, that probably means nothing to other people, and but yeah, I can get it. I can get it, especially with Kenny Dalglish.
We were in the lift on the way down, and he said, "You Liam, you've got a chance." And I thought, that's the best cosign ever. If you get one from Kenny Dalglish, is
wow. You getting your phone out. You getting your phone out. Can you say that again?
Yeah. Put it on my CV. Yeah.
We've spoken to somebody else who had worked with film celebrities in the past, and we asked her the question at the time was like, did you meet anybody and they were very disappointing in terms of, you don't have to name names, but have you interviewed somebody that you thought was going to be somebody that they actually kind of just let you down because they weren't going to be the person that they weren't the person you thought they were going to be?
Like my friends or they, because all my friends love football, they're always asking what are they like, what are people like, and so far, touch wood, everyone I've met has just been like the nicest, chilled, laid back person. There's been no one where I thought, you're difficult, or that's like have been a really hard interview. Everyone I've met's just been super chilled, and I think that's one of the best things about the industry is football people tend to click with football people, and it's a small world, so you couldn't probably get away with being too much of a bad egg.
I think from the interviews I've seen of yours as well, because you're young and your interviews are pretty laid back, aren't they? It's like a mate chatting to another mate, like the interview with Oxlade Chamberlain and with Aitch and stuff, because you're kind of peers rather than just kind of interviewer and interviewee. It feels a bit more like a chat between a couple of mates, and that's a compliment, by the way.
No, in those two cases, I'd actually been to the festival with Ox like many years ago in a big group. We barely spoke, but that was like the first thing I said, and he remembered us going, so that helped massively. And then with Aitch, we were at Hotel Football in Manchester. It was just me, Aitch, two of his boys, a camera guy, and a load of footballs, and we just played like penalty shootouts for about an hour before the interview, then cooled down. So it was just kick around with someone of a similar age. He just happens to be like a superstar. So it was they were good interviews. I loved them.
Nice. How did it feel interviewing someone like when you could see Old Trafford through the window? Is that very different to the sitting in front of the live building? Is that the opposite flip of the coin?
I get angry. I used to, every time whenever I'm at work, BBC Sport, I can see Old Trafford from my desk, and the hate has grown and grown and grown. I know it's an impressive stadium. I can't even deny how impressive it is. But yeah, it's been a bit easier recently, seeing as they're not doing so great. It's almost like,
you walk with your head held a bit higher than you used to.
Yeah, knowing that it's not been the best few seasons for them.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is that, like I said, you're obviously young. It's early on in your career, but you've been trusted with some pretty important stuff. Like I said before, the Paul Cannavale interview, and also as part of Black History Month, and the Marcus Rashford thing, and there's some quite it's obviously still football related. But it's some quite powerful stuff that you've been trusted with pretty early on in your career.
Yeah, well, the Paul Cannavale one. So a lot of the stuff I present, I produce as well. So sometimes I edit my own stuff, and or I work with an AP to get that stuff done. And the Paul Cannavale one was something I had in my head for 2 years. I've tried to get it on every year since COVID, and it just hasn't been able to happen. So that was like a real big passion project of mine. I worked with two great producers at the BBC, but that was something that the concept I sort of planned out and thought was really important to get the first black player for Chelsea. And then we look at this new wave of black players at Chelsea. To get them together in the same room for Black History Month was a really big achievement. And I think a lot of the thing with Black history is we don't always get to see positive parts of history. It's quite often focused on the negative. So to use a negative environment that Paul might have been in, and then sort of see how far we've come, how much room we've got left to go, but try and make it as celebratory as possible. Which I think Black History Month should be used for, is celebratory stories, celebratory parts of history. So that was one of my favorite VTs I've been able to be part of, just because the message and the meaning for me and lots of other Black Brits was so powerful.
I didn't realize you did editing and producing as well. It was like, is that which sort of route are you looking at? Are you still looking to, because you're early in your career, are you looking to kind of go for the lot?
A lot of the projects I do at the BBC, I've had a hands-on part of either the concept or the planning or the editing. So this Saturday I've got a documentary out about the academy system and its flaws, which is something I've worked with a team at the BBC to plan, and I've been fairly hands-on in the producing of that. So long term, I'd love to be part of projects where I confront them if needs be, if not produce like really good bits of telly that mean something. But I love the jovial, I love the banter, I love all that stuff just as much. So I think it's just about having balance. And I think anyone going into TV or film or media now just needs to be prepared to hold a boomstick from now and then, shoot a camera, maybe learn how to do some basic editing. So I think I'll keep doing all of it for as long as possible.
As part of your tasking, there, do you get free reign to come up with like most of the subjects and the content that you're going to be presenting?
At the minute, yeah. So I'm predominantly on Football Focus at the minute. So my last, I think they've only given me 2 shoots this season. The rest is I've gone to them with a concept, with an idea, and said, what do you think of this? And they've said, yeah, great, go do it. So yeah, at the minute, a lot of my time is making plans, thinking of who I can get for this thing. So the AFCON's obviously started. got the Nigeria captain at his house, which was sat in his house, and they play Egypt tonight, Tuesday. So yeah, a lot of it's me just thinking of ideas and then taking them through to going on the telly.
You said you really enjoy editing. I have to edit this podcast, and it pisses me off. So I'll give you a shout, mate.
I'm lucky we've got craft editors. I just say I like that bit, keep that bit in, but I haven't edited for a while. It's something I've managed to escape.
As I told you, once this gets big numbers, that's what's happening, mate. I'm going to employ. I'm sure there's somebody in like Malaysia or something. Who'll do it for about $5. I'm sure.
Get a wizard, get someone in.
Because I can't stand editing. But anyway, I've literally we recorded one. It's probably going to be. I've got a thinking kind of TV magic now. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks before people see this that they'll see the one that I edited today. Which was quite a similar one. It's an ex-Bury Football Club player called Jason Jarrett, who lives in Bury. So I spent all day editing that one.
It's a long old process, the editing.
Oh man, plans for the future. Now I ask you this one because I'm going to make a prediction right here, right now. I think that when Gary Lineker decides to hang up his boots on Match of the Day, I think it's going to be a straight fight between you and Alex Scott. I think that's what it is, mate. I think it's all royale between the two of you for that slot.
Not a chance. Do you know what? Alex has been wicked with me this season. She's quite hands-on still, so she's in every meeting. She's really encouraging of like my ideas, and so it's amazing to see her doing so much. But yeah, not a chance. There's a long list. There's a long list of people. I'm super competitive, and I probably shouldn't say this, but if you go on IMBD, you can see everyone who's ever presented at Football Focus, and it's a bit like a leaderboard. And every few weeks, I go on and check and see who I've overtaken. But there's like 50, there's like 50 people before me, and obviously I can't see Gary stopping anytime soon.
Exactly. So that means you've got plenty of time. You got plenty of time, mate. It's going to happen. I tell you.
There'll be much higher qualified people than that for me. I'm not sure. I mean, never say never, but I enjoy being out. I enjoy being out and about. And speaking to people in different places and whatnot. So I'd like to do a bit more of that first. Documentaries are the long-term goal. A few more things like that. Some meatier, substancy stuff.
Referring to Alex Scott, she got some complaints recently about her accent supposedly spoiling interviews. Obviously, the BBC has changed massively in the last couple of years, allowing regional accents, and people who speak differently from the old BBC pronouncing. Like, have you found anything like on your journey where you've sort of encountered any of those problems with people wanting you to speak differently or anything like that?
No, not really. And it's funny because I came through on a diversity program. I almost have like taken it upon myself to make sure I like champion people who are from underrepresented backgrounds. And like, I love it when you turn on TV and you hear a regional accent. Everyone,
me too.
I say everyone. Most people pay their TV license, so most people should feel represented in the BBC that they watch. So no, I'm all for it. Like, why not have someone who doesn't speak Queen's English and that's what England's about, Britain's about. It's a diverse and place. So yeah, people should be on from Scotland, Northern Ireland, Somerset, wherever you're from. You should feel represented in the TV you watch.
It probably won't be a surprise, but I'm twice your age, so I grew up in an era where you only heard proper, correct, pronunciation.
BBC English.
Yeah. And it was. I still remember the first time that I heard a different regional accent, and I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant."
Yeah. I mean, it's what makes like. Look at us three. All probably had different backgrounds, live in different places, but that's what makes stuff interesting. That's what makes life interesting. Is
for sure.
Differences. So they should all be celebrated for sure.
Yeah, you're talking about your accent. Looking down at where you've lived, I'm surprised you even know where that accent comes from, because it's like you've lived all over the place, mate. And one particular place I want to talk to you about is obviously the county that I now live in. I live in Donegal.
Amazing.
Nobody else will know this, but you will do. I live in between Letterkenny and Ramelton, so that's where I'm at. And I only know to mention this to you because I read that you were a sprinter at under 23 level, running out of Finn Valley Athletics Club.
Finn Valley Athletics Club. Get the blue and white vest on. Yeah, local. That's
they play blue and white. They're running blue and white.
Yeah, led to Kenny. There we are. Yeah.
Mate.
Yeah, I needed a little break from football after I dropped out of full time. I'd always done athletics through school, and I thought I've always been proud, obviously, to have Irish family, and it's something that like I love. I love the culture. I love the people. I love the country's amazing, and got an opportunity to go run at the Irish under-23 champs for Finn Valley. Got a silver medal in the 400, so that was wicked.
Nice.
But yeah, Donegal is an amazing place. Got some family in have I paused?
No, you're good.
Got some family in Galway. But yeah, it's an amazing country. How are you finding it? How long have you been there?
I love it. I mean, my family's my wife's family is from here. She's from here. And you know, for 20 odd years, she was asking me to move over here. And
she's not a cousin, is she?
Not of me. No, my family's Scottish. It's all right. So what brought you to this part of Ireland in particular? Then have you got any ties to this part of Ireland, or is it just your
So my late granddad's a Donegal man, so that was always like the piece in my heart. That was the place in my heart where I wanted to represent and run for. So I reached out to some family actually over there and said, anyone know anyone at an athletics club in Donegal? Put two and two together and teamed up with the club there. Went over to run a few competitions for them and stayed with family, which was great. I spent a short time on trial at Limerick, actually, League of Ireland. Stayed with some family there. So it's a place I just get. If I could do my job here in Ireland, it's something I'd always wanted to do. I'd love to spend a bit of time there. It's weird where not always the place you live and born is the place that feels like home. So Ireland's definitely a place I feel calm and ease.
The first time I came across you was playing for Bury AFC, and if you were watching or listening 2 weeks ago when we had Jason Jarrett on, we talked about the demise of Bury FC and the birth of a new football club, which is Bury AFC. So you were the second ever signing.
Me and Ads have good banter about this because we were in the same room at the same time. I'm sure I was handed the pen first. He just got the announcement video first. So I reckon the history books need some kind of. There was no rock paper scissors. There was nothing. We were in the same room at the same time. I'm sure I got the pen first, but yeah.
Do you think if there was a VAR on it, you just finished signing your name before he did?
I give out to him at training all the time. Sometimes he puts a tweet up about being the first ever signing, and I want to just get onto him with some proof. But yeah, there right from the start, and it's funny. Me and Adam have a good banter. That's Adam McWilliam, who claims the first signing.
Yeah, he's actually the second.
I think history needs to be rewritten slightly. Yeah.
That's it. We know the truth. So yeah, as you know, as I explained before we came on here, that I'm a Bury fan. Have been since I was 4 years old. And when that kind of disappeared, I said on the podcast a couple of years ago, a couple of weeks ago, that one of the things I would never want to have to do again is go and tell my 10-year-old son that the team that he's literally just celebrated promotion with on the pitch at Gig Lane had to go and, well, confession to make, I should have gone and told him, but I didn't have the balls to do it, so I got my wife to go and do it for me. I was like, go and tell a 10-year-old that it was like, you remember the last game we watched with that team that we've been everywhere? 2 years before it all finished, we were at Tranmere, saw us promoted. The last year we were at Tranmere, saw us promoted. The very last game he watched, he ran on the pitch at the end to celebrate promotion from League 2 to League 1. And then you've got to go and tell a 10-year-old kid that's gone forever. And it was horrible, horrible, horrible. But and I know there's some people haven't gone down the route that I went. That was, I just want some football in Bury for my son to watch. So admittedly, haven't been to many games. Went to 2 or 3 pre-season games, but obviously living in different countries made it difficult. But the benefit of ground sharing is that there's not a lot of Saturday 3 o'clock games, which means that I can watch them all because they're all streamed. So I've watched pretty much every game. And congratulations on the goal against Daisy Hill, by the way.
Thanks. Long overdue it was. Long overdue.
Nice. Your pace got you that goal, didn't it?
Yeah, run. Just keep running.
Head down and go for it.
Yeah, that's the one.
But no, I've been really enjoying it, and I thank you and everybody else at the club for giving us something to kind of fill that void. I mean, who knows where it's going to go? Again, we talked about this briefly, but the club and the Gig Lane and the name Bury FC and the badge and the history and all of that kind of stuff has been bought, and there's negotiations currently ongoing to try and pull that together. Hopefully that can happen, because there are some other voices or other opinions to mine, but I just want one football club under that name, in that ground, get it back and all that kind of stuff. And I know I'm not asking you to say anything controversial here, but I said this when we were talking to Jason Jarrett, that if that happens, and if we can pull all the fans together and get them back in that ground all together, that first game, there'll be 10,000 there.
Oh, for sure. I get asked at the BBC every day, like, what's going to happen? Because they're obviously all over it. But yeah, it's an incredible. I wasn't a Bury fan. Obviously, I'm not from the area, but you always knew the size of the club, and since joining, I've felt that. And we're very proud to play for a fan base who have gone through that difficult time, because I've spent a lot of time on the bench this season, my own fault mainly, but I warm up next to a group of old boys every week who have been going since they were kids. And there's been so many things they've said, like they're just grateful to be back watching football. One of them said they hadn't seen their mate for 8, 9, 10 months during lockdown, and now they saw each other every Saturday, had a few pints and a pie. And I think that is like the special thing with football, is it brings communities together. It's the language of the world, and if we're able to help people get back together and cheer something on, it means more than playing for any other club that I've played for, just because it does feel really special. So no, of course, one club in a place like Bury is super important, and hopefully people set whatever disagreements they've got aside and look at the real thing that keeps football together, and that's fans, that's supporters, and that's loving the game. And to be fair, none of the boys, it's not something we really speak about, because we're chasing a title, chasing an undefeated season. But yeah, it feels special, and it feels like the community deserve Gig Lane and deserve something to cheer about again after a difficult time.
Absolutely, 100% agree. I think there's there's personalities and egos on both sides that are going to have to meet in the middle, and everybody wants the same thing, so hopefully that can happen. But one of the things I did want to say is that from seeing the progression of Bury AFC and how well they're received, because it could have been like other clubs, because other clubs could have been like, who the hell do you think you are? You've just come up with a club and you're charging in with all these supporters, and they could have been this. And there's a couple of things I wanted to cover on this. That one is that I see through social media a lot of clubs thanking Bury AFC for going there, because
they still don't make it easy. They still give us a load of shit.
I'm sure they do. But what I'm saying is that, like, that was the one I was coming on to in a minute. I was saying, like, from the club point of view, they might have average crowds of like 50 or 60, and then like Daisy Hill the other week, there's over 1,000 at Daisy Hill for the first time ever, I think. And we're helping clubs to break their attendance records, and obviously bringing a lot of funding, a lot of finance.
I mean, if you look at it simple like that,
beer sales and all that kind of stuff. So it's from the clubs, but the fans is different. We'll cover that in a sec. But from the club's point of view, they all seem, certainly on social media, really appreciative of what the Bury fans are bringing.
I mean, sure, if you do the maths and you're going somewhere that averages 100 people and we rock up with 1,000, it's a big chunk of gate money that they're having. The non-league attendances are up all over the country, I think. I don't know if that's people being disillusioned with the Football League and the Premier League, but I mean, we still get some stick for as players going to these places. Obviously, we've assembled a really good squad. A lot of boys have dropped down 4 divisions, 5 divisions to play. So naturally, people have their thoughts and ideas on how clubs are doing that, but honestly, it's just people want to play for the club and play for the story and the experience that you get on a match day. But they're the fans, honestly. Like, we played Cleator Celtic up in the Lake District, 4 hours away or something. My coach, there's like 400 or 500 fans there. It's like better than some Football League clubs don't get away travel like that. So yeah, the fans are top, and it's a well-run club. Everything's done professionally, from training. The managers, like, the boys joke that we're like a full-time, part-time team because he loves to get us training.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's run professionally. We got a group of volunteers who do the social media world, do the kit. Everything's it's as professional as any club I've been at. Which for a club in its first season, because last year was null and void, there's not really much that they're doing wrong.
Can I ask you a question about, like, so obviously it being a new club, how are you approached in terms of, so who approached you about playing there, and what was your kind of decision to go and play for the club?
Do you know what? I left Stalybridge Celtic in the Northern Premier. Well, this season got cancelled because of COVID, and I was looking at options in and around like the Northern Prem, Conference North, like that standard. And then I saw Bury, I think it was on Twitter. I dropped the original chairman, Chris Murray, a line, and was like, be interested. And I actually knew of Andy Welsh. He was at Yeovil when I was a youth team player there. Small world. So I got in touch. They had a trial day down in Goshen in Bury. And yeah, he assembled a team from there. It was funny. It was like nothing I'd seen before. There's no kit, rocked up, bag of balls, some bibs, 11v11. There was honestly about 60 players in the first few weeks that got cut down to sort of 20, 30. And of course, some have come, some have gone. But yeah, it was just you can easily go through in non-league like 2-3 clubs this season. You can just bum around the sort of conveyor belt of clubs, but you don't often get the opportunity to be part of what Bury represents. So that was the main factor for me, and probably all the other boys as well.
You mentioned unbeaten. Currently, this is going to go out in a few weeks, but currently unbeaten. Let's hope still unbeaten when it goes out.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And joint top of the league with 2 games in hand, so it's all looking really, really good.
All good, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things, like from the opposition fans and opposition team point of view, they must, every single week, you must turn up against a team and a set of fans that just want to do you over.
Yeah, of course, but I love that. Like, I'm a real laid back guy, except for between the first whistle and the final, I just turn into an angry little man. So like for me, I love that. I love when people give certain shouts on the pitch, or fans have got something to say. You got to enjoy that stuff. So yeah, all of us, we love it. And you know what? Whilst we keep winning, we just keep people quiet, which is all we can do. So me personally, I love it. Every bit of pettiness, every bit of like, I'm all for it. So we'll just have to keep winning. And if we go an unbeaten season, I'd say you won't hear from a lot of the lads for about a week. People will be getting dumped after the team week out. It will be amazing. So yeah, we good for the boys, not so good for the family, I reckon, if we go an unbeaten.
I mean, it sounds like there's a real team spirit, and for that to have established itself so early on in the life cycle of a football club seems quite unique.
Yeah, I'd say it all comes from, we got some good experienced players. We've got a really good balance, actually, I think. We've got players who have played in and around the league. We've got players who have been ex-professionals, and then we've got young lads who have still got aspirations of getting to a higher point in football, whether that's with us or getting a move. And the manager and the management team, like, there's no flexibility, but I say that in a great way, as in, you know, the standards that he expects. You know, you've got to run, you've got to work as hard as possible. And to be honest, he's got a team of probably 20 players who could start for any other team in the league, maybe the league above. So he hasn't got an easy job, because like the amount of times I call him asking him, can I play? Why aren't I playing? He's managed to keep everyone bought into what we want to achieve. And I think you either buy into that you got to work hard, and it's not just a non-league club where you rock up once a week for training and it's not very serious and you go out on a Saturday and whatever happens. It's a club where like they want to be as professional as possible. So yeah, there's no room for sort of stepping off the pedal or behaving in a way that isn't what the management team expect. And personally, I've bought into it, although I miss training far too much because of work. Everyone's bought into what they're trying to achieve there, which is great.
So yeah, I was saying that I was a bit nervous to begin with because it was like we were interviewing an interviewer. But we've got something a little special because we were kind of like, what do you ask? What questions do you ask somebody who asks questions?
I'm ready.
So Baz is good. We're going to call this section MacDevitt interviews MacDevitt. So Baz has got a list of questions that you've asked other people. He's going to ask you.
I like it. I like that.
So we obviously I've got the names of the people you asked, but part of it was going to see if you could remember who the person you asked the question was.
Let's give that a go. I'm all for it.
Right, I'm going to start with this will be an easy one, I think.
Yeah.
Run, bike, or walk the dog.
Run, bike, or walk the dog is Lucy Bronze, and run, bike, walk the dog. I don't actually have my own dog, but I love walking the family dog. But I'll go with yeah, I've got to go with walk the dog. I'm a lazy person. I'll go with walk the dog.
Yeah.
Good man.
Here's one. I quite like this. When did you first realise you were a Liverpool fan?
Ooh.
So yeah, if you put Liverpool in brackets, you may not have asked Liverpool fan, if you know what I mean.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay.
That's Kenny Dalglish, right?
No, you asked somebody. You asked somebody that question, but we had to change it to Liverpool for you.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. I've changed it to Liverpool for you.
Oh, when did you work out if you were a something fan?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
When did I don't know? Who did I ask that to?
It was Aitch.
Yeah.
Aitch. When did you ask if you were a United
You
fan?
said, when did you first realise you were a United fan?
I remember now. I remember. When did I work? Did you want an answer? When did I realise?
Yeah. So when did you
realise you were a Liverpool fan?
Yeah, I wasn't really given a choice. My granddad brainwashed me. Took me to my first game at the age of 4. And Robbie Fowler scored. Obviously, that's going to help. But yeah, he had me in Liverpool kits from as long as I can remember. Supposedly, so my dad, not that he's ever been a factor, he is a United fan, and he reckons there's a photo of me somewhere in a United dot, but I've never ever seen it surface. So that was never even a discussion. It's Liverpool through and through from about the age of 4. Yeah, I actually wore shin pads and boots to my first game just in case, they needed a sub. So yeah, I didn't have a choice. Liverpool from as long as
early appearance of FKW there.
Yeah, I was ready.
Okay, here's a question that I think all footballers get asked: who's the best player you've ever trained with?
Oh,
so that's to you, and also
you see, trained with. I can't say played with, but my short spell at Stoke City, I got to train with my absolute hero. Like, I used to have a poster on the wall, so it's got to be Michael Owen.
Yeah, it's got to be in it.
Yeah. I remember my second day, Tony Pulis came in, said, we need a couple of you to go with the first team. I did a few finishing drills with Owen and Crouchy. Can't beat it.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. I text my mum in the canteen. I was sat next to like Jack Butland, and I text my mum saying, "Mum, I think I've made it." And then about 6 months later, I didn't have a club, but it was a good short time.
I'm going to do this one. Are you getting promoted this season? It's a bit of a weird one because I think that's probably quite a pertinent question to you, isn't it?
Have I asked someone that question?
You have, yes.
Omar Beckles, Leyton Orient.
Ooh, in fairness, it may be a question you've asked many people.
Who did I ask that?
So I've got down as Josh Laurent.
Josh Laurent Redding. Yeah. They didn't get promoted that year, and he said they might. But I'm going to say yes, we will get promoted this year.
Yeah, I think you probably are, to be fair.
In as much writing as you want, probably going to be in trouble. But yeah, we will get promoted this year. I believe that to be true.
Right, I'm only going to ask you one more question because obviously there's quite a few on here, and this is probably a thing that's more akin to you now because of your TV work. What is the stat that players are most bothered about?
The stat? It's got to be. I'm a forward, so goals is king. But do you know what? Like, often in training when you got your stat sport vest, like the one I care about is speed, top speed. I've got to be number one clearly, or I'm fuming. So yeah, I'll go top speed or goals, either or. Unless your name is Andy Welsh, and then it's kilometers ran per game. Because
really?
On the trackers, he's straight on to us for how far we have or haven't ran. So if you're management, it's probably kilometers ran, but for the boys, it's goals or speed, I reckon.
So are you? Well, you've even at that level, you've got these stat vests, haven't you? So it's are you the quickest at the club? Is it proven that you're the quickest at the club?
Yeah, and do you know who's low key close? Tom Greaves, the veteran Greavesy, racked up like a mad high score on the vest. So we shortly sent them back for new vests after that, but I don't know if the new one.
But, the batteries
on the old ones. I'm sure he wore it in the car and just drove quickly up and returned the vest. But yeah, he's up there too.
For those that don't know who Tom Greaves is, he's about Baz's age.
Yeah, I think he's 30. I think he's 35 or 6. What a guy!
He's a non-league legend.
Yeah.
Is Tom Greaves.
I'm assuming though that the wearing of the vests is probably quite limited to the level of that you're playing at in terms of the league that you're in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're easily the only team who wears them, but I think it's one of those things that you can create an atmosphere that's one thing or another, and we've chose to create one that's professional. Yeah. So why not?
Well, if those things exist, you may as well use them.
Yeah, it's all margins, isn't it? Like, if they help in any way, then yeah, I'm all for it. I like that section. What was that called? Questions.
That was called MacDevitt interviews MacDevitt.
I'm not sure.
Alexa's not sure.
Were you trying to get the? I think it was your questions. Don't ask Alexa. Don't start cheating.
No,
I've said it.
Like good section. I'm sorry you had to watch so many interviews to get the questions, so you're probably super bored by the end.
It's a learning curve for us. Trust us.
Yeah.
Liam, you've no idea how brilliant it is to be able to do research for these podcasts by going on to Wikipedia or YouTube or BBC website and actually find stuff that I can get a bit of background. Normally we rock into those and go, right then, who are you? It's nice.
Well, no, I appreciate it. It was good. I liked that section. I might use that one again on like a family Zoom quiz if we ever need it.
Oh yeah, you should definitely should.
It's also a novelty for us to have somebody on who isn't just one of our mates off TikTok. So that's also good. So
I'm enjoying it.
Listen, the other thing that I wanted to speak to you about is you mentioned before that you ended up in Dunedin.
Yeah, what a place.
2 questions: how did that happen, and how did you enjoy it?
Do you know what? I was sat, my mum lives in Malaysia, and we were sat watching the World Cup. And I was like, at a point in my life where I'd only done football, I'd got a degree, I'd been offered this job. And I was like, I was watching the World Cup, and I was like, I don't think I'm done yet. Like, I would love to give football like one more crack at the whip. But I was like kind of sick with England and sort of bouncing from club to club. And there was an Irish manager in Dunedin who I knew through a friend. I dropped him a line and said I'd be well up for coming over. What's the setup? What's the situation? He had 6 Irish players in the team. I thought, yeah, that looks like a place I can be at home. We probably exchanged emails for 4 or 5 months. I'd got offered a club in Finland as well through my old youth team manager. But I thought, like, what an experience, what an excuse to go and travel a part of the world that I might never get to. So yeah, just sourced it out and off I went, and it was one of the best things I've ever done for sure.
How long were you there for?
Just one season. Probably if I hadn't have been offered the BBC job, I might have stayed for another one. But yeah, I don't know if either of you have been, but what a ridiculous country.
No.
Yeah, if you can ever go, honestly, it's amazing.
Yeah, but it's not Media City though, is it? Do you know what I mean? Salford's like, by Media City, I'm sure it's like that's the TV companies trying to make Salford sound pretty.
Yeah, they've got fairy lights and stuff at Christmas. There's some like trendy coffee shops. It's not bad at all. But New Zealand was ridiculous.
On Sorry, during my sort of small amount of research I did on you, I kept coming up with the other Liam MacDevitt.
You know, I've never met this guy or played with this guy.
I was about to ask whether you'd come across him.
He's MacDevitt, and do you know how much it annoys me when people forget the A, because I thought this guy might be out there. We might be helping each other out, because he's played a decent level as well. And there's been a few times when I've rocked up in a changing room in non-league, and they've got his stats in the program. And I think it must happen. I love to think he's somewhere in the Conference South opening a program, and it says like television presenter Liam MacDevitt, and he's just like, you know, the amount of times I've wanted to just drop him a line on Twitter and just like have some weird Liam MacDevitt conversation, but I've never done it. Maybe I'll have to now. I'll let you know how I go on.
Yeah, it'd be great.
We've just done a section that you enjoyed called MacDevitt Interviews MacDevitt.
Yeah.
So clearly, the BBC, you can commission stuff now, mate. You can go into tomorrow. You can go into BBC tomorrow and say, "I've got this great idea. It's called MacDevitt Interviews MacDevitt." Yeah.
That's what I'll do. I have often gone to drop him a line just to see if anything weird ever happens, but I haven't got around to it yet.
Oh, maybe once the match of the day job drops, mate, then that's when it'll.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
You know that everybody watching and listening to this is going to go onto IMDb and go on that match of the day page now. And
honestly, I'm right down at the bottom.
The league table.
I'm about 8th from bottom, but I'm on the up.
So who's in your sights then? Come on, tell us.
No, there's some decent people just above me. I think Owen isn't far off, or I just overtook him. There's a few people, a few above and below. But yeah, I need to stop going on there every week because I'm not climbing it any quicker.
I think if you spoke to Michael Owen, he'd probably say that he would trade his football career to be further up that list on IMDb. So,
well, he'd get rid of the Ballon d'Or, everything, and just
all of it
on that list. Yeah, not a chance.
All of it. Yeah. One more thing I wanted to cover that I'd found I think it was in an interview or on your Wikipedia. By the way, if you are due to come on our podcast in the next few weeks, don't expect me to have done this much preparation because it's really easy with you. Because it was basically just me watching a load of videos of either football or people talking about football, so it was really easy. One of the things, and I've put in quotes, that you were approached to compete for Ireland at the Rio Olympics in the 4x400 meters.
Yeah, it was just after the indoor champs. Actually, there was a few age group championships that I was kind of near the reserve end list of getting into. So yeah, I didn't pay it too much mind, to be honest. It was like I was just training to keep fit. Happened to get a silver medal at the indoor champs, and then from there was like the opportunity to train and try and get as close to that team as possible. But it wasn't something that was probably realistic with how I was competing at that time. I think if I'd have continued, maybe I would have got close. But it was more a case of I managed to achieve a certain thing, and that was the knock-on effect of achieving that, rather than it being like a realistic aim and target of mine or theirs, probably.
Imagine just having sort of like, I wasn't really asked, but nearly qualified.
No, it was just yeah, it was one of those things. They were contemplating putting together a 4x4 team, and I would have just about made a reserve spot that year, given how weak it was.
No, I've just spotted something. Okay,
is it my plant? Is it?
No. I'm not. You sounded very guilty about that plant.
No, I think it's on the way out. I've been trying to get it back to life, but it's not having it.
No, I've just spotted something. It's not on your camera. It's right. I'm gonna have to change the settings on here briefly. But listen, you were saying before that you absolutely hate it when people miss the A out of your name.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever missed it out of the first part of your name?
Lim.
For everybody listening on the audio.
I don't mind Lim. I'll be Lim from now. It's easier.
Because just for the benefit of the people listening on the audio, I've just put up, like, when you come onto the podcast, when using this software, you have to put your name in. Me and Baz have just got Mike and Baz. Liam's got Lim.
Lim.
MacDevitt.
Do you know what? I was in such a rush. I felt so bad for keeping you rated. I was just no. The worst thing is I've even gone with the capital D but forgot the A. It's useless. Yeah, I might change it to that.
There we go. Lim MacDevitt. No, I just thought it was really funny. You were saying you were saying you hate it when people miss the A out of your name, and I just noticed you'd missed
there
out
you go.
of a different
Rectified. Quick as that. Edit.
That's it. So if you give anybody any stick about missing the A out now, all they've got to do is find this on Apple Podcasts or on YouTube, and they can just throw that back.
Call me a hypocrite. Yeah.
So, Lim, I just thought I'd ask you. Quite often when we interview people on a podcast, we talk about a very specific subject and something they've done. Like for 27, it's really obvious that you've done so much stuff already. In terms of for a young age to be where you are now. What's the future like? Where do you see your sort of trajectory in your career going?
I'm gonna on the football point. I'd like to just stay at Bury for as long as possible. I don't know how many years I've got left through TV work becoming too much of a commitment in terms of I miss training a lot. It's sometimes I'm the other side of the country and getting back for games and stuff can be difficult, but I feel fit. I'd like to have I'd like to get to sort of 30, 31, still playing football at a decent standard. And with TV, media presenting, I guess my motivation isn't necessarily to be the most visible person on screen. That may come as a product of my work, but for me, I just want to start making content that makes a bit more of a difference, and stuff I really feel passionate about. I don't think I ever want to be just given a script and told, ask these questions, this is what you're going to say. I'd love to just be, if I can still be doing what I'm doing in 10 years time and taking on a few bigger jobs, but being able to sort of produce and present 50-50 or 60-40, that would be the dream. I'm really, really happy. I'm if I'd have told myself what I'm doing now a year ago or 2 years ago, I'd have probably laughed. So I'm just trying to, I think with football, you get in the habit of always looking for the next thing and always looking for the next thing in life, and you don't actually enjoy what you're in now. So I have no doubt that hopefully I keep going in an upwards trajectory, but at the minute I'm just I get to speak to you guys, I get to go and do interviews. It's just want to enjoy everything that's happening around me, and hopefully if you concentrate on today, then the tomorrow part's easier.
That's perfect.
So that's all we've got time for. Listen, Liam, thank you so much for being on. For those that people don't know, but it's taken a lot to get you here.
I'm so sorry. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been months of to and fro to get you here, but do you know what? I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed your company. Good luck with the rest of the season. Good luck tonight, actually, because you're playing tonight. So good luck tonight. Good luck for the rest of the season. Fingers crossed everything goes the way we all want it to, and next season I'm coming as your guest to Gig Lane with 10,000
for sure. Drop me a line. Both you welcome whenever, and thanks for having me. And I would have had a pint, but next time I'll have a stash of beers ready and we'll get through it.
Perfect.
Good man. I'm going to hold you to that next time. We'll do this again. But anyway, good luck with the career on the pitch, off the pitch, on the TV and everything. Thanks so much for your time. You've been a legend. And for everyone listening and watching, don't forget to subscribe, whether it's Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube, wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.